This team is currently coming off a very memorable season with the highest honor in all of the NFL. But right off the bat, they're in need of some serious help. Welcome to Sports Talk with Seahawk. I am your host, Connor, and today we are starting the brand new series I like to call Top 5 Needs. This is a series we're going to go into depth with all 32 NFL teams. We're going to assess the top 5 needs for each team, starting from number 32 pick all the way to the first pick. And as they go on, it's going to get a lot more fun because those at the front are going to need a lot more help than those at the back. That's just fact. And as you see from the title that's below me right now, you can see that today we're going to start with the last pick and currently the number 1 overall ranking in the NFL. That is the Denver Broncos. Established in the year 1960, the Denver Broncos have become one of the most pristine teams in the entire NFL. Current member of the AFC West and winner of 3 Super Bowls, including the most recent Super Bowl 50. They currently share the record of the most Super Bowl appearances with the Dallas Cowboys, New England Patriots, and the Pittsburgh Steelers, sitting at 8 total appearances. And currently have 4 legendary players in the Hall of Fame, including John Elway, Floyd Little, Gary Zimmerman, and Shannon Sharpe. With the city of Denver known as the Mile High City, the team already has a slight advantage over teams that come in to play them. The city of Denver being a mile high above sea level, the oxygen there is extremely thin, making it extremely hard to partake in oxygen, making it those who are not used to the air having a hard time breathing. Well, that being said, there really is not a lot of bad things to say about this team. They have a defense that's shown they can show up at the best times in the game. They have an offense that is very explosive, and their fan base is just extremely loyal. Plus, with the altitude of the city, they got a lot playing for them since they're used to that oxygen. But there are still some needs, like all the other teams on this list, they need to fill or add these positions to their roster if they want to be successful in the upcoming season and have any hopes to repeating for Super Bowl 51. Now let's get started with number 5. Number 5, safeties. Any football fan out there knows that any team is only as good as its defense, especially the ones in the secondary. When you got quarterbacks in this league that are able to launch it downfield, you need those guys back there to be able to go back and get it. Currently at this position in the Broncos roster, they have TJ Ward and Darian Stewart, who are both going into their 7th seasons in the NFL. That's not a big issue for me, but the main issue I do have with that is they have no backup support. They had one guy listed to back both of them up, and that was David Brunton Jr., who is now signed with the Washington Redskins. For me, that's a big need. Now, the fact they don't have good, sufficient guys there at the time, they just need the backup support. We've seen many times in the past in this league that players do go down, and sometimes teams suffer because of it. What they need to do is go out in this draft to get a safety. Strong or free. Hell, get both of them if you want. I would suggest getting both, just to be safe. Here we go, number 4. Number 4, linebackers. On defense, the Broncos run what's known as a 3-4 defense, which basically means 3 down linemen and 4 up linebackers. And think about this linebacking core, it's actually really solid. You got DeMarcus Ware, Brandon Marshall, Danny Trevathan, and Von Miller. Between the 4 of them, they combined for 28 years of experience, with DeMarcus Ware holding 12. For me, that's an issue. Don't get me wrong, these guys are a great bunch of guys, and we've seen them come alive in the Super Bowl. But D-Ware's getting to that point where we don't know how much longer he has in him. He has his ring. What more does he have to play for? He's already an A-lister for the Hall of Fame. Thing is, they all have backups listed. For DeMarcus Ware, they have Shane Ray behind him from Missouri, who's just coming off his rookie season. Last year, he did have a total of 15 tackles, which is not bad for your rookie season. What they need to do is they need to go out and get another linebacker just to be safe. Think about the defense as a whole. It's a great defense, no doubt. But then again, you still got to put those pieces of the puzzle in there to make sure it's a fully complete defense. You always need to have the next man up mentality. One guy goes down, who's going to back him up? I'm sensing this trend continuing. Let's see what comes next. Number 3, the defensive line. And apparently we're sticking with defense for this one. I mean, it's pretty consistent with the defense on this team. Yes, they have great players, just they're getting old. As we all know in this league, if you surpass age 35, you're now considered old by most fans. But back on track, it's not exactly the case with the defensive line. The problem is, they has got a lot of holes to fill. You got Antonio Smith, who is now a free agent, and Malik Jackson, who recently signed with the Jags. That is 2 of your 6 listed spots in your depth chart. That leaves only Vance Walker for the defensive end position. Vance Walker's a good player, but I don't think he's good enough to play 2 positions at once, especially on 2 different sides of the line. What the Broncos need to do in this upcoming draft, they need to get 2 defensive ends. Either get them in a draft or pick them up in free agency. I don't care. Unless you want to shuffle around the D tackles, you're still not going to have a backup. As we all know, as I said before, injuries do happen. And what are you going to do if you do not have a backup? That's for you to decide. If we go to number two. Number two, the offensive line. Oh man, now we're bleeding. You thought there were holes in the defensive line. Well, the offensive line just looks like someone took a Tommy gun to the entire depth chart. You gotta look at the holes here. Their starting tackle Ryan Harris last year signed with Pittsburgh. Bye. Two of their three guards, Shelley Smith and Luis Vasquez, free agency. Out of here. That leaves their one backup to the tackle position, Michael Schofield. Not this Michael Schofield, the lesser cool Michael Schofield. Still a cool guy, but this guy's better. Which means he has to take over the starting spot on the right tackle position, leaving absolutely no backups for any of the offensive line. Except the center position. That's pretty sad. But he's got no backup cast. There are abundance of offensive line coming into this draft. You have your picks. You can take anyone you want. We've seen many teams in the past. The great offense all starts with the offensive line. That wall holds up, the QB can do whatever he needs to do to get that ball downfield. If you don't get that solid offensive line, then they're going to be calling the lookout block every single time. Look out! Yeah, quarterback's not exactly happy after that. And speaking of quarterback, number one, a quarterback. Y'all knew this was coming. Y'all absolutely knew this was coming. Number one need that this team needs right now is a quarterback. Last year, the Broncos had the number one passing offense in the entire league, led by none other than the one, the only, the great Peyton Manning. But Peyton Manning's finally cashed in on his long and coming retirement. Even the Broncos starting all over from scratch. You got Peyton Manning who retired. You got Brock Osweiler who decided to go elsewhere. Who do you have left? I'll tell you who. Trevor Siemian, who was only 6 picks away from the Mr. Irrelevant title in the last year's draft. Picked in the very last round at the 250th pick. Didn't see the field once last year. But it's okay, they went outside their saving grace. None other than Mr. Mark Sanchez. You know Mark Sanchez, Mr. Butt Fumble. You make one mistake, you're stuck with it for life. Just ask Tony Romo. Really, Denver? You're in need of a really good quarterback and you want to get Mark Sanchez? For the equivalency of a boxer punching himself in the face. The Broncos want to be successful, they need a quarterback. I mean, you got 3 top prospects and may or may not be on the board by the time their pick comes up. Jared Goff from Cal, Paxton Lynch from Memphis, and Carson Wentz from North Dakota State. All of them coming off great senior seasons. They're still on the board by the time they get their pick. I wouldn't hesitate. Take one of them. I don't care which one. You know who they could get a quarterback? I know who's available. In the end, the Broncos have a lot going for them. They still need a lot of work to be done. They have a great defense that is aging really fast and need to get that youth at the backups. They also got an offense that is lacking a lot of offensive line support, 0 quarterback experience. And no, I'm not counting Mark Sanchez's experience, because once you go butt fumble, you never return from butt fumble. What they need to do to get that explosive offense back, they need to get offensive line support and get a new quarterback. That is the only way that the Broncos have any chance to repeat this next upcoming season. Granted, it's not impossible, but it's going to be very, very unlikely in my book. Any Broncos fans currently watching this, I'm just saying it as I see it. You guys are very loyal and congrats on a long-coming Super Bowl win for your city. I'm just giving you all the reality of the situation. It is very unlikely that you can repeat this upcoming season. And there you go, my top 5 needs for the Super Bowl winning Denver Broncos. If you agree or disagree, feel free to sound off in the comments and I'll be happy to discuss it with you. Be sure to subscribe to my channel to see my analysts for the rest of the 31 teams in the NFL. Until next time, this has been Sports Talk with Seahawk. I am your host Connor, and I will see y'all next time.